Return of the Mount Hua Sect, Chapter 138. I need to have this, even if I die. He isn't back yet. Can we just go now? Baekchun's eyes twitched. Yunjong. Yes, Sasuk. Do you know where he went? Isn't it obvious that he followed the Wudang disciples? Then, if we follow the path they took, shouldn't we meet up with him? Can we stop him? Yunjong couldn't answer the question. Could they stop him? Stop Chongmyung? Baekchun shook his head. It might just be better for us to wait. Seeing him return after making a mess of things makes my stomach turn. But if I saw it happening with my own eyes, I think my stomach might explode. I understand. But it wasn't easy, and it was even reckless to wait around without doing anything. As time passes, anxiety increases. The disciples here have learned from experience that the longer it takes for Chongmyung to return, the bigger the mess he's causing. Baekchun sighed deeply. What sin must I have committed in my past life to end up with a junior like him? Of course, from an objective point of view, Chongmyung brought a lot of benefits to Mount Hua. Chongmyung humiliated the Jongnam sect, simultaneously gaining enormous fame for both himself and Mount Hua. Along with this, he also greatly improved the second and third class disciples' skills. If Baekchun had to choose between a Mount Hua that had Chongmyung or one without him, he would choose the one with Chongmyung every time, even though doing so made him cry. But that's only when rational thought prevails. It is not easy to praise or compliment Chongmyung, considering how harshly he treated others. He couldn't have caused such a huge incident though, right? Hearing Jogul's words, Baekchun and Yunjong stared at him blankly. Jogul, who was startled by their gazes, waved his hands and made excuses. Oh, no, I'm not saying that he hasn't caused any problems, but he's the kind of guy that only causes trouble he can handle. So far, he's always fixed the problems he's caused. What sort of pain did we all go through to fix his accidents? Well... Jogul lowered his eyes. There were many things he wanted to say, but this wasn't the right time. It's not like he enters into those situations thoughtlessly. Jogul, who came from a merchant family, is sensitive to profits. One of the things he felt while observing Chongmyung was that each problem was caused for a reason. It might seem absurd to others, but it was sure to benefit both him and Mount Hua if Chongmyung did something. So he didn't feel like Chongmyung had to be stopped. Jogul let out a low sigh. Looking at the sour expressions on the faces of Baekchun and Yunjong, he held his tongue. It was a bit of a bummer, but he felt he might die if he spoke carelessly. But even knowing that it would be beneficial for them, Jogul understood the pain his Sahyungs felt as they had to suffer until the moment that the trouble bears results. But Jogul turned his gaze away. Yu Yisol was sitting at the table having tea. She is one unique person. Yisol is the only one that changed the most these past 2 years, and yet she didn't change at all. It's a strangely remarkable change. Yu Yisol had never shown any interest in her seniors or sajirs, but she showed infinite interest in Chongmyung. However, that didn't mean that her relationship with the others had improved. She only showed a different side of herself when dealing with Chongmyung. It's weird, truly. Jogul felt that this change wasn't necessarily a bad thing though. Over the past 2 years, Yu Yisol has grown even more beautiful than before. If such a person smiled more often, then Mount Hua would be overturned. Since he is Chongmyung, he would surely break Yu Yisol's head if she skipped training, but that couldn't have prevented her heart from pounding. Even now, since Chongmyung left, Yu Yisol hadn't spoken a single word. As a courtesy to the Sahyungs and Sajirs, she remained near the group and didn't go off on her own. She just passed her time looking at the door, probably hoping for Chongmyung to return. At that moment, Yu Yisol's lips slightly opened. Jogul immediately looked at the door. Kwang! The door was smashed open. Yunjong's eyes twitched. I must have told him 100 times by now that doors are for opening, not kicking. Shit, if he listened, then he wouldn't be Chongmyeong. Chongmyeong! Hey, you brat! What kind of mess did you make now? Speak up! There was an aggressive response from all sides. The disciples of Mount Hua quickly realized that Chongmyeong was behaving weirder than usual. Normally, he would have spoken as soon as he burst into the room, but this time, he simply held something hesitantly as the others rushed to surround him. As everyone looked at him with a stiff face, he cried out, Gather! Gather here! We already gathered up, though. While they stared blankly, Chongmyeong pulled something out from his sleeve and threw it on the table. Baekchun narrowed his eyes and looked at the parchment placed on the table. What is this? A treasure map. Treasure map? It seems like some kind of code to me. Yes. Baekchun tilted his head and asked, What the hell is this? We need to decipher this. This? Yes. Who? Who? Obviously Sasuke and Sahyung's. Baekchun's eyes trembled. Chongmyeong had left to beat up the Wudang disciples, came back with a strange map full of cryptic lines, and he wanted them to decipher it. Baekchun glared at Chongmyeong angrily and spoke. Start from the beginning. Explain what and how it all happened. I'm busy. I'll only say it once, so listen carefully. Chongmyeong quickly explained everything that had happened. The tomb of Yaksun. Right. The pill-making master from 200 years ago. So this map leads to his tomb, and this, right, and that. He trampled on the head of Mujin, the clear flowing sword, and stole this map. One of the 3 swords of Wudang. Baekchun's cheeks twitched. What the hell was he thinking? It was no longer surprising to receive news that Chongmyeong had defeated the clear flowing sword. Of course, it would normally be shocking for a third-class disciple from Mount Hua to take down a first-class disciple from the Wudang sect, let alone the fact that it was one of the 3 swords of Wudang, and Chongmyeong defeated him without receiving a single wound. But Baekchun was determined not to be surprised by Chongmyeong's actions anymore. The real problem came next. So, you stole this from the clear flowing sword? Yes. Mujin. Why do you keep repeating what's already been answered? Yes, I said yes. When Chongmyeong shouted back, Baekchun couldn't stand it and finally exploded. Hey, you crazy bastard. What the hell were you thinking? Robbing the Wudang sect? How do you plan to handle it if they come back? They'll surely come running with blood dripping from their eyes. It's fine. I don't think they knew it was me. I was wearing a mask. How could they fail to recognize you just because you wore a mask? Do you think their eyes are for decoration? Or maybe they're all just blind? Everyone looked at Chongmyeong with miserable expressions. Wudang, along with the Shaolin, it is one of the 2 great sects leading the world, and their influence went beyond Hubei out to the whole world. Considering the number of disciples and masters they had, it was a sect that Mount Hua couldn't afford to offend. If the Wudang were determined to strike them down, Mount Hua would be destroyed instantly. Perhaps, if Mount Hua was given some time to grow, it might be a match for the Wudang sect. But for now, though, they should avoid any conflicts. Protecting one subsect itself was already enough of a burden. And what? Chongmyeong wanted to rob the Wudang. He stole their treasure. I'd rather be punished for pulling the nose hair of an angel. This was a massive incident. Baekchun's deafening voice echoed in his own ears as he felt lost and had no idea how to deal with the situation. That isn't important. It isn't. Sasuke! Huh? Chongmyeong interrupted Baekchun with a firm voice. Should we just head back then? Baekchun shut his mouth. Are you sure you don't want a piece of this? Huh? Baekchun looked at the map. The tomb of Yaksun. What if there was really some kind of pill in that tomb? Could he really just give up and let the pill and potential knowledge fall into someone else's hands? Wow, this is poisonous. If you took the bait, you would surely become addicted, but it was a poison they couldn't afford to avoid. Think carefully. If you only ever take the safe option in life, you will never get anything greater. Sometimes you need to throw away your concerns and act without thinking. Gambling is necessary at times. Don't be swayed by overthinking. We need to make our move by gambling with everything on the line. And then lose everything we have. Yeah, that's normally what happens, isn't it? Chongmyung flinched and insisted again. But the greater the risk, the better the chances of getting a huge fortune from the gamble. This is something we need to have, even if we all die trying. Don't you think so? Baekchun scratched his head violently. Damn it. He wasn't wrong. It was a gamble worth doing to save the sect. If Mount Hua could get their hands on that pill-making knowledge, it might solve one of the sect's greatest problems. What is the problem with the current Mount Hua? The martial arts of the higher-ups are rather weak, and it takes a long time for disciples to fully mature. At this point, the second and third class disciples of Mount Hua are strong, even compared to the first class disciples. However, that's only when comparing martial artists of the same sect. No matter how strong Baekchun had become, could he face off against the elders of the Wudang sect? He would need to train for another 30 years to stand a chance. This is because, more than anything else, he lacked the ki to support himself. Even if Mount Hua's disciples have developed their ki more than most, there was a stark difference between themselves and the disciples of prestigious factions that grew up eating medicinal pills like candy. And the gap will only widen in the future too. However, if they could gain knowledge about pill making, it would solve that problem. Baekchun nodded and rubbed his face. He would rather swear to his heart's content after trying than miss this opportunity. This was a sweet cake that he couldn't help but sink his teeth into. The aftermath would be staggering, and if things went poorly, then Mount Hua could be overturned. Passionate blood-red eyes shined from Baekchun. Damn it! How can we possibly let this chance slip by? Fuck! Jogul quickly followed up. Let's do it, Sasuk. You, just stay still. We don't have time to think about it. Even at this moment, the Wudang are probably returning to the main sect. It's all over if they manage to bring reinforcements. Even if this means death, we need to reach the treasure before them. Yunjung remained silent. He merely looked at Baekchun in confusion. The only one that could make the decision here was Baekchun. Baekchun's eyes had begun gleaming. Chongmyung. Yes, Sasuk. Is deciphering it enough? At most, we can decipher it. But what if there's another trap? Just decipher it. I'll make sure to break through anything else. Are you sure? Sasuk, I'm Chongmyung. Why drag this out any longer? Is that so? Baekchun's eyes didn't stop shining. Damn it. I'm a man too. I can't just let the Wudang have their way so easily. Even if the sect leader blows my head away, I'll get this done. Baekchun turned his head around. Yunjung, Jogul, Yusame. Yes, Sasuk. We're staying up. Use any means necessary to decipher this tonight. Yes. The eyes of Mount Hua's disciples began to gleam. Over the last 2 years, Chongmyung had certainly corrupted the disciples of Mount Hua. Before the Wudang arrive, we'll have taken the treasure. The Soul Vitality Pill. Soul Vitality Pill. Soul Vitality Pill. Yunjong and Jogul stared at the map with ravenous eyes as they desired the legendary medicine. Chongmyung smiled upon seeing their fervent reactions. Wow, they've grown up so well. Isn't that right, Sayong? What? You damned? Sorry, I can't hear you very well today. Chongmyung had dyed the disciples of Mount Hua in his colors.